What do you think qualifies a golfer to play with blade irons?
Have you switched or have you thought about switching to using blade irons? We came across an article that might make you rethink that decision. Hey everybody, I'm Brady and this is Tyson with Golf Ascending, and if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe for weekly golf content.
All right, so before we get into this article that we came across, I want to just put into more simple terms, I guess, the difference between a blade iron and a cavity back. So a cavity back iron is hollowed out. So they hollowed out so that they can distribute the weight around the perimeter. A blade iron is forged out of a block of steel. So there's no weight dispersion. What you forge is what you get. So most golfers think that as your game improves, you graduate from cavity back irons to blade irons. And in a recent article on golf.com, this really talks more in depth about this topic.
So on golf.com, this article is written April 11th, 2020, and the title is Why a Recent Tour Winner Thinks Blade Irons Are Too Difficult. That tour player is Kevin Na. He is a 4-time PGA Tour winner. Pretty awesome golfer. Has been pretty hot lately, I think. And he basically says, why play blade irons? They're too difficult. Why make the game, a difficult game, more difficult than it has to be? He even went as far to say he was dumb when he did use blade irons. Let's check out some of the quotes that he said in this article explaining his experience with blade irons and why he doesn't use them.
So one of the most powerful quotes that he says in this article, I'm just going to read it because it's just too perfect.
Yeah.
He says, "I can't play a blade." Na said, "It's too difficult and I'm a pro golfer. I think a blade goes shorter. Off-center hits aren't going to perform as well as cavity backs, and I don't see a reason why you'd want to play a blade. I really don't. I played blades in my 20s, maybe 1 year, when I was dumb. But I am wiser now, and I play cavity backs." What a powerful quote. I mean, we have all been thinking, the opposite, that, tour players, if you have your PGA Tour card, you play blades.
Yep, because you're good enough.
Yeah, that's the general consensus. And, we hear all the time, all these positives to blades for the better player. And this is one of the first times that I have ever heard someone publicly admit to saying, I can't play blades, I'm playing cavity backs, deal with it.
Yeah. When Tyson actually sent me this article, when I read it, it was kind of mind-blowing to me because I always thought, like we said earlier, that at one point I'll graduate to those blades once my handicap improves. And I've had friends who switch, like, yeah, I think I'm ready. Like, I'm hitting consistently with my irons. I'm hitting them in the sweet spot. Why not switch to blades? But after reading this, it kind of made me think, yeah, why make it more difficult? If my handicap is improving, why possibly make it worse by switching to a club that's not as forgiving? So this article spoke a lot to me. Like, it kind of made me think, you know what, maybe I don't need to reach that graduation point, but play with the irons and or just clubs in general that fit my game and that help me to play the best golf that I can. All right, like Kevin Na said, is it dumb to play with blade irons? And if you do play with blade irons, do you feel like you play better golf? Comment below what your experience has been, if it's made your game better or if it's probably made things worse.
And, we're not trying to convince anyone, you should play blades, you should play cavity backs. We honestly just wanted to raise this topic of discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And so, actually what we want to do is we want to get right into, what are the positives of playing blades? What are the negatives? And what are the positives and negatives of playing cavities?
Yeah.
And so we're just going to get right into that.
All right, so let's talk about some of the positives with hitting with blades. One of the things that a lot of people like when they play blades is that they're smooth or soft like butter. They kind of cut through the grass really well, and they just have that good feel to it.
Yeah, and I would say you probably only get this feel if you hit that thing flush on the face. We also hear the horror stories about hitting it off the toe or off the heel, and you feel it all the way through your bones.
Very true.
So, yes, they are smooth. They cut right through. Another positive to them, a lot of people like the small profile that they show on top, that skinny look. They like how clean, how professional it
Yeah.
looks. And so, a lot of you guys out there that have blades, you might like this, and it might be, sort of that, look good, play good type of a feel. For some people, it might scare you half to death.
Yeah, I was gonna say it intimidates me.
Another positive to blades is the amount of feedback you get from striking the ball. Tour pros really like this because they can feel where they're striking the ball if they struck it good. They like it because they can shape shots with it. So those two kind of fall in the same category, but you can feel shots better with a blade.
Yeah. And I think that is probably one of the biggest positives is the ability to shape shots really well. Because that is one of the positives of having a blade versus a cavity back, to where it can cut through really well. And if you position a shot to go a certain way, they're tended to do that for your swing.
Something that I thought was interesting actually about the article, Kevin Knott actually said that, I'm able to shape my shots, as good as a blade. And he feels confident that he can do that. And so that was just something so interesting because, you always hear blades are for shaping shots. You don't really hear that about cavities.
And maybe that's why this article is pretty interesting, because this might change people's thought process with that. Because honestly, like, I've been able to shape some shots with like my 4 hybrid, and so maybe technology has changed a little bit to where, hey, cavity backs can do a lot of the same things that a blade can do, but is also a little more forgiving.
Another positive, also can work in the negatives, but we're just going to bring up this point, is that blades are more true to the degree of loft of your traditional iron set. So as far as your distances go, your 9 iron is a true 9 iron length. Sometimes when you get into these cavity clubs, they're stronger. So, your 9 cavity is going to go further, not only because it's stronger lofted, but you have the forgiveness and it's just built way more forgiving.
Yeah.
So a lot of tour players like that precision in their distances.
Yeah.
So the last thing I wanted to bring up about blade irons and the tour pros that use them is the tour pros actually don't even use blade irons at the top end of their bag. Most of them in that 3, 4, even 5 iron will use a thicker soled iron or a cavity back because they want the forgiveness in that longer club. Specifically in the article, Kevin Knott, he's already using cavity backs in all of his irons, but he even says in there that, when I get to my 4 iron, my 5 iron, I want something thicker. I want something that's going to help me the most. And so I just thought, wow, that's really interesting, that this tour pro wants all the forgiveness that he can get. Okay, so overall, what an interesting article. Before reading this, I personally thought that blade irons were a graduation to that next level of competition from cavity backs.
Same.
I always thought, when my game gets better, I'm going to use what the pros use because, I want that feedback. I want to be able to shape shots. I want the benefits that blades offer. And it was just interesting to hear the feedback and the opinion of Kevin Na, where he feels like it's dumb to play blade irons. So yeah, totally, new concept for me to understand. I don't know if personally, I will always stick with cavities. I think in the future, I personally would like to try them out. One of the reasons why a lot of people, go to the blade irons that we didn't touch on before is it's almost like an accomplishment. It's like, if I can hit the blade iron,
I've made it.
I've made
I
it.
can hit consistent.
It's a confidence boost. Like I'm a good golfer, and it's a status. It's literally a status. It's I'm this. It's like the red bottoms on a Louboutin shoe. But yeah, that's kind of my take on this. Definitely interesting topic.
Yeah, and personally, I mean, for me, it kind of made me think, you know what? Why switch to a club that could possibly make the game harder for me? But honestly, again, that's my opinion and our opinions. I think personally, like if you want to try them out, you should just try them out. And there's a lot of places where you can buy used clubs and they'll take them back after you use them a few times or even for a few months. So maybe find out for you. But if it's not helping your game, personally, I think I'd be a little more on Kevin Na's side and just go with what's best for your game and don't switch if it doesn't make sense.
So thanks for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, click the like button, and click the notification bell for all of our future content.